Hi folks, this is Jay. We are visiting Pelion Outdoor Classroom in the city of Buffalo. It is featured on Urban Farm Day as well as East Side Garden Walk, both offered by Gardens Buffalo Niagara. So Pelion Outdoor Classroom is not a typical community garden, but it is a community garden. We're with the manager and instructor Cassandra here. Can you say a quick hi to the viewer?
Hi.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Pelion. It's very different.
We started off as a school garden and a community garden, and we needed to figure out ways that we could be a little bit self-sustaining, and so we added the urban farm component to it. And we started in 2011. This was 4 vacant, blighted lots right across from a public school, and parents were very concerned about the blight, but also they wanted to have a space where their students could come out and do nature activities and have lessons that were very hands-on and really help situate their students and the community with their place, and their impact on the planet.
Exactly. So what does Pelion mean?
So Pelion was named after the mountain where the centaurs lived. And the school that's across the street from us is City Honors, and the mascot is the centaur. And so there was a vote, and the 5th graders, I don't remember the student's name, but a 5th grader chose one of the names, and they all voted, and Pelion was what they landed on.
That's quite a story. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So now can we join you for a walk in the community garden?
Yes. And we do feature a lot of drought tolerant and native plants, but we're not strictly native. It depends on if we can use that plant for a lesson about seed dispersal or medicine, or we even grow some plants that are slightly toxic so that we can talk about that aspect.
Oh yeah.
You're
what
coming
is this?
through.
This
is button bush, and in July this was loaded with these composite pom-poms, and all the bees were here, all the butterflies were here, and we're going to trim this back after the seeds develop a little more, and we'll offer these seeds for arrangements. It looks really kind of fun.
Very unique, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also just fun. It looks wild.
Yes. Yeah. So now we entered the community garden. I mean, the first thing I saw, even before we enter from the street, we see you have the corn growing
here. The corn, yeah. The corn is really important. It's part of our Three Sisters Island, and this island is where we talk about the traditions of the First Nations, and we talk about land use, we talk about companion planting, and this is, one example of some of the traditional method of companion planting with Three Sisters, but it's not exact, because when you are growing it yourself in your garden, you're going to do it with the timing of the year. The first sister corn is going to go in the ground when the soil is warm, and then you're going to add the beans, and then you're going to add the squash. But we have 90 5th graders that come out in one day, and so 90 5th graders help us plant the corn, beans, and squash all in one day. And then when they come back after the summer, they see what they planted, and they're very impressed and surprised.
I can't imagine
that the tiny little beans that they put in are vining up the corn, and I'm very glad that our corn is tasseling right now, and so you can actually see that happening.
And I see you made this kind of a trellis with, those look like they might be like from the trunk from a Christmas tree. Is that?
Yes, these teepees are from leftover Christmas trees, and we utilize Christmas trees in lots of ways. We cut the branches and we put them in the beds to keep the feral cats from pooping in our vegetable beds. We also use them to keep the groundhogs from coming up in the beds. And the needles decompose and add a little bit of acidity to the soil, which a lot of vegetables really prefer.
Exactly.
And then the other structure in the back is a trellis that was built almost 10 years ago, and we're hoping to find a sponsor to help us replace the worn out discs,
Uh-huh.
but those were painted by students, and they were inspired by a lot of First Nation motifs, and we'd like to rehab that area. We're also, you might notice, one of the black tarps, we're trying to kill bindweed, and in September we'll be removing the black tarp and digging out the smaller footprint of those invasives. And,
So you use the tarp to solarize.
yes, yes. It doesn't kill it all, but it does knock back the footprint, and it makes it more manageable for when we go in. But you can see we've got a lot of weeds that are, this is sunflower, but there's lamb's quarters, there's bindweed, there's purslane, there's chickweed, there's dandelion, and we frequently offer these medicinal and edible weeds on the foragers forums, and also on the herbalist forums. And sometimes people come and harvest, and we really wish more people would come and help harvest.
Yeah, so this is on public land, so everyone is welcome.
We are on public land and everybody's welcome. We just ask that, we're growing with you, not for you. So if you help us with weeding, watering, harvesting, planting, building, fixing, repairing things, then we will share with you what's right.
Exactly.
And also share some of our tips.
Yeah. So I see you have an area with quite a lot of the raised bed for the vegetable primarily, right?
Yes, this is kind of where our science classes grow. We grow using the square foot method, which was invented by Mel Bartholomew back in the middle 70s. Yeah, he was a retired engineer and decided that in his retirement he would fight world hunger. And he figured out the ways to maximize the spatial needs of fruits and vegetables that people typically grow. And so he teaches you mostly what is the root space required. And these trellises are a work in progress. The yarn will be replaced by some stockade paneling. And we are currently growing some long beans and also a very fun plant that lots of kids really like. It's called cucamelon.
It's right here, right?
Yeah, it has a lot of names. Mexican sour gherkin and also mouse melon. Do you want to pick one? And you can go on the other side. Go on this side. Oops, sorry. And then bring one here.
So,
Actually, here. Okay. And then we also teach this, use this, not every bed is the square foot method, it just depends. This year, of course, we had the wildfires. And right when we were preparing the grids, you can, I don't know if you can notice, there's actually a photo here. Jay, I don't know if you can see this, but this was a photo from a previous year when younger students were able to help us do the grids, but because of the wildfires, students weren't allowed to come out this year. And so our teenagers had to do it all by themselves. And so we taught them, how to build the grids and stuff. And we're just waiting for school to come back, and we've left some of the spaces available so that when they come back in the fall, we can plant some cool crops like beets and carrots and radishes, and students still have the opportunity to, get acquainted with that method.
Exactly. So let's walk this way. Yeah. So I still have something in the clipboard over there. So
yeah. So one of the ways that we had to develop our, farm part of it is, we had to come up with ways where it was not so labor intensive because I'm the only employee, and there's also a lot of inconsistency with volunteers, and sometimes it's feast or famine, and a lot of people come a few times and then we don't see them again, and so we lose continuity. And then of course with students, once they graduate or they find sports or drama or music or any other thing, they choose those after school programs.
So you have the UDIG.
Yes, and so we offer people, opportunities throughout the season to do different UDIG options. Like in the spring, it's, you pick asparagus and you dig sweet violets. And so for the summer, we're going to offer you pick oregano, purslane, dinosaur kale, cucamelons, chokeberries, and our red wigglers.
I see.
And then the U-dig is for things like milkweed and black raspberry and some things that have popped up where we don't really want them to pop up.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of birds.
So you have the surplus of the little seedlings. You offer them as you did, which is such a good idea. It's just to engage the community in a different way. I see you have a sign over there. So this community garden is a grassroots garden.
We are under the umbrella of Grassroots Gardens, and we do a lot of workshops with them and trainings, and we get materials through them and participate in grant opportunities that help the community, build their skills for gardening. No matter whether it's vegetable or ornamentals or natives or even urban beekeeping. That's one of the things, and just hosting events here.
Exactly. So Grassroots Gardens is a non-profit organization.
They are.
They do so many good works. I know they are an important partner with Gardens Buffalo Niagara, who organize Urban Farm Day as well as Eastside Garden Walk. So it's just so happy for us to see that there are different types of community garden. So you mentioned you have different activity here.
Right. We've had weddings hosted here. We've done movie nights here. We've had,
So you mentioned wedding here.
Yes. It was, they did bring in some additional floral, sunflowers and things like that, but it was a nice small wedding. It was an intimate wedding, so it was a good spot.
So education aspect is a very important focus, but in addition to the young students, you involve the community in different ways. So it's not just for the students.
Exactly. We have read-ins, we have trainings, and we do events where potlucks, once Three Sisters is all mature and we harvest the corn and the squash, we set up the camping stove and we cook a big huge pot of squash soup together, and we also just come out here sometimes and relax. I'm really excited to try to identify people who are into poetry. I would love to do a poetry slam here.
Oh, wow.
And I would love to have jugglers here, hula hoopers here. It's a space that's a destination not just for, pounding out, information about the environment and how to be a green, steward. But it's also a place just to come and have fun and relax and be in the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is such a good idea to engage community in different ways, and also with a focus on the education effort. So Cassandra, I noticed this is a more shaded area, and it's at the low end of a slope. Yeah.
Exactly. So we designed the space so that the grading would come this way, and all of the rainfall that would land on previously four rooftops now comes back into this area. This is a rain garden, and it's filled with mostly perennials and plants that we don't have to water because of the rainfall that we get, and we use the grassy area in the center to do most of our lessons and gathering space for events. That's where we put out the tables for the potlucks, and people can just come and read and relax on the benches.
Enjoy the community garden.
Yes, and we've even had a Eagle Scout come and chose to do a project with us where they built the benches for us and they built the drawing horses. So those ones that you see that look like a bench with just the one side, that's actually set up so that you can put your sketch pad there, and you can move the horses around the garden, and you can use it to sketch hands, free. You're not holding your sketchbook to draw the teepee or the corn or capture some of the natives blooming or seed pods or
I
even,
see.
birds and things
So I
like
see you
that.
have like an art piece here. Tell us a little bit about this
Yes,
piece.
this lady was donated by one of the art teachers named Miss Diluski and Miss D for short. And we love her. The kids wind up putting her in a lot of our activities, especially when we tell them to draw maps of the garden or make a diagram of like where something was planted. And she's a landmark now.
Yeah, and I agree. This is definitely a very unique piece, and it just go so well with the whole concept of your garden. So again, we're visiting Pelion Outdoor Classroom with the manager and instructor Cassandra here. This is in the city of Buffalo. It's featured on Urban Farm Day as well as East Side Garden Walk, both offered by Gardens Buffalo Niagara. Well, thank you for giving us the tour.
And thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.